This lesson is going to focus on rounding to the nearest unit, tenth, and hundredth. Before we get started, we'll look at reasons why we would want to round numbers. Estimation is used in many day-to-day situations where we don't need an exact answer. For example, we may want to estimate how much money we need to take to the grocery store in order to buy groceries, or how much lawn seed is needed to seed the lawn, or how much paint we might need to paint the house. With each of these situations, the answer does not have to be exact. And sometimes it's helpful to round the numbers before we estimate. For example, if we want to estimate how much groceries in our grocery cart will cost, we may want to round each item to the nearest dollar first and then find the sum. Those are just a couple of examples. Rounding involves place value. So the following steps are important when we want to do rounding. First, go to the column immediately to the right of the digit corresponding to the place value asked for. So the next step would be to round up if that digit is 5 or greater, or leave it the same if it is less than 5. And then finally, replace the digits to the right of the place value asked for with zeros. So now I'm going to do an example where I round the number 234 and 637 thousandths, and I'm going to round it first to the nearest 10. So the first thing I need to do is, if we look at the steps, is I need to go to the column immediately to the right. So here's the 10. The column immediately to the right is a 4. And since it is less than 5, I'm going to leave it the same. So I'm going to take the 2, 3, and the 4. The 3 I'm going to leave the same. And then replace all the digits, the 4, to the right with a 0. And once I get to the decimal with the whole number, I don't need to include anything else. So I've got 230 is 234 and 637 tenths. Round to the nearest 10 is 230. Rounding to the nearest 1, so the 4, I go to the column immediately to the right, we have a 6. So that means that this will round up. I'm going to round up to 235. And again, I'm at the decimal, so I don't have to include any numbers after the decimal. I don't have to put in zeros. I could write in all the zeros, but 235 and a bunch of zeros after the decimal, it's the same as just 235. And then to the nearest tenth, I look at the number in the tenth place is a 6. Immediately to the right we have a 3, which means that the 6 will stay. So 234 decimal 6 tenths, 0 hundredths, and 0 thousandths, or just 234 decimal 6. The last one is to the nearest hundredth. And in the hundredths place we have a 3. Immediately to the right we have a 7, which makes the 3 go up to a 4. And we have 234 and 64 hundredths. So when we round to the nearest hundredth, our number stops in the hundredths place. If we round to the nearest tenths, here our number stopped in the tenths. The nearest 1, all the numbers after the ones place, or the unit, are zeros, or we can simply say the nearest 1 is just 235. Nearest 10, anything after the tens, is 0. So hopefully this will help you with rounding to the nearest unit, tenth, or hundredth.